I've never been big like watching it. Whoa.
Your microphone.
Okay, everyone. Before we get started, I want to remind you, you guys need to finish the quiz today. Please find a time slot to maybe 20 minutes to finish the quiz. Okay, so it's pretty easy, right? So don't be nervous. Yeah. Okay, so please download Laboratory 9 from Blackboard, and into this class we will keep learning how to write the controlled repetitions. In lab 6, we learned how to write a sequence. In lab 7, we learned how to write the conditional statement. In the last lab, in lab 8, we learned how to write the centernal controlled repetition. But in this class, we need to learn the count controlled repetition. Okay, please run the first script to identify your host name, username, and current information. And next one, please input your name, our number, and the date. Okay, so it's a diagram about the count controlled repetition compared with the centernal controlled repetition. Okay, as you see here, we have a encounter to control this repetition. It means it's also called definite repetition because the number of the repetitions is known before the loop begins executing. So when we don't know in advance the number of the times we want to execute the statement, we cannot use the count controlled repetition. Okay, a count controlled repetition will exit after running a certain number of times. As you see here, it requires the count variable or the loop counter, initial value of the control variable increment or decrement through this loop for each iteration, and the condition the test for the final value. It's pretty important. I think for the first 3 items, it's very easy to write, but for the last one, how to set the final value, I think in most cases, you need to think twice about the final values, okay? We use both for and while loops, but for the count controlled repetition, we use for in more common, okay? Because for, you can set the range, you can set a different number of the repetitions, so it's more convenient. We have seen the loop already, so it's a syntax, right? For the variable in iterable, and then print something or to perform some instructions, okay? And please make sure to have the colon and indentation, and for if while statement, a keyword, or you also need the colon and the indentation. Okay, let's try some concrete examples. The first one here, we begin with a loop. So please make a list with the Walter, Jessica, and the Hank. So they are all the names from the Breaking Bad, right? So that's why here the variable name is Breaking Bad. Yeah. So we loop and prints all the elements of your list. You see here, first, please create a new list, set the variable names as BB. And for all strings is a variable, right? And inside this list, and then print out print out the variable. Yeah, all the variables, right? So actually, it doesn't matter. So you can set up something else. For example, sorry. For example, if you don't want that, you can use all string, maybe perhaps underscore twice, and or so any kind of variable. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Or even you can use a, but it's not easy to read. So please make sure to have some meaningful variable name, like here, use all strings or all string, because it's easier for you or your readers to understand your codes. Okay. All right, so it's about the first script, first example. The next one is range. Range is more popular range function to create an iterable. So the range begin value, end value, and increment. Okay, so create an iterable starting as a video begin in step defined by increment, ending at end. Okay, so it will be smaller than end. Let's see this example. First, the same list, right? And then the begin value would be 0 and the end value would be 4. So it will, so the last one will be smaller than 4. So the last index I means index would be 3, right? So it, and because the increment would be 1, so the first loop I would be 0, and the second loop I would be 1, and the last loop I will be 3 because it should be smaller than 4. Okay, right? So BB1, BB0, it means the first element, BB1, the second one, 2, third one, 4, 3 for the last one. Okay, so and here change the numbers. What happens? So please change the numbers on your own computer. Let me show you. You can choose 5, not 4, and run again. Okay. Choose 5 again. So as you see, the first 4 elements have been printed out successfully, but for the last one, you have an error, right? So index error. Then you see this arrow. It means this one has some errors. It means the list index out of range. It means because because the last one, if you set the end value will be 5, so the last index would be 4. So BB4 means the 5th element, but there are only 4 elements in this list. That's why here it says the index of the list out of range. Okay, please make sure. Please show me when you submit your work. Show me this error. All right, all right. It will help you to understand and help you to remember how to set the last, how to set the end value. Okay. All right. So any questions so far? Okay, next one. So how to print the odd number? Write a loop to print odd numbers between 0 to 10. So it's similar, right? So we use that 4 and the variable in range, the start number, the end number, and the increment would be 2 because you only need the odd number, not all the numbers, right? Start from 1 and the end one would be 9, right? So you see the 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So if you want to print out all the even numbers, for example, even numbers, you can copy, and then you can start from 0. Then it will start from, it will print out the 0 to 8, right? Because the last one would be smaller than 10. So 10 is not the result. So 0 to 8. Okay. 0 to 8. Sorry. . So it's about how to print all the even numbers, but it's not necessary. Okay, so you can just remove it. Yeah. So next one is about nested repetition. So here's the point, right? So nested means you want to add for or loop statements inside the for or loop statements as you learn the nested dictionary. So the value could be list, could be tuple, could be dictionary, and for this loop, it could be the go back to errors. Okay, sure, this one. This range function section, and then I want you to change the end value from 4 to 5 or even 6, yeah, to 5, and then you will have this error index out of range because the last index would be 4, and 4 is not valid because there are only 4 elements. So the biggest index should be 3, not 4. So that's why you have this error. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So I think it's good. Okay, sure. Next one is about how to use break about this loop, because sometimes you want to exit the loop when a certain condition different from the counting condition is met. So as you see, this is about the counting condition, right? Start from 0, smaller than 5, and the increment would be 1. But some other conditions, for example, here, the other condition is j is equal to 6 is another condition. You want to exit out of this loop, all right? You can write, and then you see, if you don't have this break keyword, it is supposed to have 5 iterations from 0 to 4, right? But for the third loop, when j is 6, you have this. You need to perform this break statement. It means it will end the loop and jump and exit out of this loop. All right. And to compare with that, you can use this way. If j is 7, but j is all even numbers, it cannot be 7. So in this case, this condition could never be satisfied. So that's why. So this loops will continue until this end. That's why here there are 5 iterations. This one there are only 3 iterations. Okay. So please make sure to have the correct keywords here. And later I will show you what about the continue keyword. And in the first case, for loop only executes 3 times before the condition j is 6 is true. Loop is executed, right? And then, okay, so any questions so far about this break keyword? All right. Okay, next one is about the cosine in the loop. So please write a loop to print a table of cosines numbers between 0 to and 0.1 with the steps of 0.001. So here you need to import the math, right? This package, actually the package, you can call it package or module. There are many useful functions inside this package. So you don't need to write your own function if someone else did that. You can just import this package and use the function. For example, here you can use the package name dot function name to use this function to calculate the cosine x, okay? And they are to make the beautiful formats, and then for range from 0 to 100. And but after that, you can use the increment would be 1, right? But you can use this way to set the steps. You can use the multiply 0.001 to set the steps, okay? And then print out the result. Okay, so print cosine, the first line, print cosine, print x and cosine x. cosine x, and print all the lines, and then each one from the I'm not sure, do you remember the f? We learned it in lab 4. The f means the float, right? And then 0.3 means you want to keep the first 3 digits after the decimal point. And then the second one, for the cosine results, you want to keep the last 4 digits, okay? So it's about it's about the cosine in the loop, all right? But actually there's a small question. So when you set the end value would be 100, so the last one would be 99, not the 100. So if I write this program, I would write 101 and write again as that, and then the last one would be 0.1. But but I think it's doesn't matter. Yeah, so in this case doesn't matter, but in your weekly assignment or in your exams, you need to double check the end value, okay? All right, so next example is very important. I think it's the last example of today's class. Please write a script to take the real input for according to the rules below. The first one, y equal to x, and y equal to x times x plus 2, and the script test the script with x values 0.0, 1.0, 1.1, and 2.1, and populate the tables below from 0 to 5. Yeah, so first one, you take ask for the user's input, right? Pretty clear. And then it is a string, so you please do the typecasting, use a float function, and get a float number, and write the codes about the rules, right? If this way, y, x, and print out, and else if this way, and this way. Okay, so for example, for the 5, then y will be x, right? And do it again. So 1.3. This should be the second one, right? Second condition. And then it will be the 1.3 more times 1 times 3. Last one bigger than 2.5. Okay. So it's about how to compute it. All right. So it's about the first one, and the second one. If you read it, if you are familiar, I would say actually it's the same as the exercise of lab 8. If you remember, have any ideas? Yeah. So, but a little different. In the exercise of lab 8, I asked you to use a while, right? To use while. But in lab 9, in this example, we use for statements, but something else, they are very, very similar, right? Please make sure if you have trouble solving this problem, please read this code and understand it. Then you can finish this code. But a little bit different in lab 8, in lab 9. You're asked to compute from 0 to 5, but in the exercise of lab 8, I want you to compute from 0 to 6. Okay, so please make sure to have the condition of x is 6. All right, but let's see this one first. So compute. You set x from 0 to 6, but smaller than 6. Then the largest one would be 5, and then set this if else. And please make sure here is the indentation and here's the double indentations. Okay, please make sure. I think most of you have some errors about the indentations, how to control this group of the instructions under the for, under the if keywords. Okay, and here you see there's a float number, but 4 before the decimal point. It means you want to have 4 digits. If you don't have 4 digits, then there are 3 spaces and 1 more digit, okay, to make it as a 4 digits. That's why here there are 3 3 spaces before this 0, before this 1, before this 5 number. Okay. I think it's not pretty. Maybe you need to remove them, but it doesn't matter. Okay. It's about how to use the table to print out. And next one about how to print with some pretty table. But before you do that, please make sure to install pretty table. You need to run this script first. Let me show you. Please copy this pip install pretty table first, right? To install this package. If you don't have this package, when you run this cell, there are some errors. Okay, there will be some errors. Because I have already installed that, so it means required already satisfied. But if for you, perhaps you need to install it. You can see some process, and then please wait maybe 10 seconds, and then after that, you can install this pretty table package. And after that, you can use this pretty table function from the pretty table package and do that. You don't need to understand all of them because in next lab, in lab 10, we will learn the functions, how to write the functions, how to use the functions from some packages. Because here you need to define some empty table, you need to add some rows. It requires you to understand how to understand the structure of the functions, but not necessary into this class. Okay, so please install the pretty table package and run it. Show me the result. That's enough. Okay. So any questions so far? So do you have any errors when you run this cell? When you see the error maybe named the package missing or function missing, then it means you don't have this package. So you need to install the package before you run the required cell. Okay. All right, so next one is about the continue statement. Continue is we learn it, right? So in level 8, we use while statement to learn the continue, right? So it will only skip the block of code after it's executed for that iteration. So in this class, in this one, so it will skip when J is 6, it means the third iteration, right? For other iteration, it won't affect the other iterations, and it will not end the iterations, end the loop. Okay, so that's the difference between continue keywords and break keywords. Okay, so there are some documents. If you want to learn more, you can read them. And the exercise of today's class is for a while. So 1,000 people has asked to be enlisted to take the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. You are asked to write a loop to allow the ones who meet the requirements to take the shot. What kind of loop will you choose? A for loop or a while loop? Please answer it for a while and explain the reasons, logic behind the choice briefly. So maybe, and please make sure to use a markdown cell. Okay, markdown cell because it's not a code. Repeat again. So for this exercise, you do not need to write the codes because you cannot write the codes. You don't know the requirements, right? You only need to answer it is a for loop or a while loop, and what's the difference and why you choose a for loop or a while loop. Briefly, maybe only 2 sentences. 2 sentences are enough, I think. All right. Okay, let me repeat again. So today you need to run all the cells first, and then please make sure to change the numbers, change the numbers from 4 and 5, and show me the errors. Show me the index out of the range in errors, and then please finish this exercise. And when you finish all of them, you can submit your work before the end of next Monday. Okay. Yeah, so that's all I want to share today. So if you don't have any questions, you can use the rest of time to finish your quiz, because I think you have 20 minutes. Yeah. And if you have some questions, you can stay here and ask me. Okay. And see you on next Monday. Have a nice day, guys. Okay, and here, have a nice weekend.